Okay, maybe let's move on to the next category here. We've got one for strategic planning, performance management. I had two questions in that category. First one was, I believe a project management office with a certified project managers is needed for future success at the department. Are there any plans for this? Or what does the future of enterprise project management look like? Second question, we have a vision and set of 5 somewhat coupled strategic imperatives. The first imperative, performance management, has yet to come to fruition after 1+ years of development. What is the management team's expectations for the rest of the imperatives? Will the DOT create and cascade a goal framework in alignment with these imperatives?
John, I think this one's, I'm looking down somewhere. That one's yours, isn't it?
I'm all talked out. I've used all my words after 2 hours of presentation, so I was hoping I could get away with this. I'll take number 2 in terms of the different strategic initiatives. And this is a discussion that Dave Putz and I have quite a bit in terms of just the department's history on strategic plans. And not only the departments, if you look out, whether it's public agencies, private agencies, Dave and I, we talk that 80 to 90% of them fail. Strategic plans aren't easy, and we're taking a different approach in that there's 2 components. Those who sat in there's a strategic component that's really focused on change, and there's the performance side of the planning. And that ended up being the first initiative, is that we really don't have a good way of gauging our performance. And I think that's also going to help us in terms of prioritizing what our objectives and our goals are for the agency. So it is imperative that we do that. And I think there's frustration on all levels in terms of how long it's taking to resource and implement performance management. I know from the committee that came out with the report, there's a lot of concern. How are we going to do this? People have full plates. And we just can't, as we've done in the past, is we've sought volunteers from other divisions and said, well, you're going to help in this. And they've already got a full plate. And so we're looking now in a discussion we will be having is how do we resource this? We're definitely going to need some outside resources. But the fear there is we don't want someone to come in and sell us a product. We are unique, we are a DOT, no one knows us better than ourselves. So how do we do that in the appropriate manner that we can get the guidance, maybe to put the materials together, but also that we have the commitment internally to own performance management and understand what it is for us. So we've got some difficult discussions to have, I think, as management team in terms of how we take that report forward and look at implementing performance management. We looked at asset management, performance management out there now. I can still talk to you about it, and I'll tell you, I'll probably give 500 different definitions as to what it means, and different expectations, fears of what performance management is. It's not easy to implement concepts such as these within an agency such as ours. Are there other efforts going? If you're doing performance management and people are doing measures in different areas, we're not telling you to wait, that you need to wait for our grand plan here. We're really trying to figure out how we can create frameworks with that plan, the cascading model, to encourage you to continue the journey that you're having. I don't have all the answers there. Other activities are occurring. The data integration, part of that is because of the work that's going in IT with the enterprise architecture review. We've got a data governance group that's just started right now, realizing the importance of data. The slide I showed you was the onslaught of the data, the digital age that we're coming into. We're making a lot of decisions on data that we don't have really a plan as to who is the steward of the data, what's the quality of that data, what's the risk associated with that data. We're making very important decisions day to day, and I think there's underlying risks that we're just not aware of. So I say stay tuned. Part of that is why we had the performance management as one of the items and wanted your feedback as to where are you struggling, where do you see us moving forward and implementing performance management in a way that makes sense for us. I don't want to implement someone else's product. I want to implement our product.
All right, how about a technology question? We got 4 of them up there. Can you guys read those, or do you want me to read them? One on bring your own device. We've got one on the digital driver's license. One on automated vehicles on gravel roads. feasibility of that. And then another driverless vehicle thing on standards for roadways. Last question is, do driverless vehicles cause the public to demand better standards for roadways? For example, properly set speed limits? You might want to take a crack at any of those technology questions.
I'm waiting for the two to my right to figure out who's taking the number one question, which is bring your own device. Do you want to share that?
We'll tag team this. And the reason why we'll tag team this is it's not just about the equipment, it's about then if it's your personal device, what are we doing at work? And that, so that's a bigger conversation. There is not, so the first question that we're talking about, this says, will the DOT have a bring your own device policy? There is not an intent to have a policy to bring your own device. There are some people, for example, that utilize their phone and they get their DOT email on their phone, and that is able for anybody to get their DOT email on their phone if you're willing to sign the agreement with the DOT that if you lose your phone, you'll notify us and we can wipe your phone. And that's for security reasons. If you lose your phone, we want to make sure that any kind of security access is denied if anybody else gets that phone. So we do have that capability of doing that now. You also can get webmail via the web, obviously, from any type of mobile device pretty much these days, even iPads and your laptops at home. So I think people are already utilizing some of their personal devices, but there's not a plan for a policy on those at this point.
Yeah, there are, I always get tagged as like the policy guy, right? But, and by the way, our OAS folks have a really cool way of working on their policies. Just get a hold of Linda Anderson and find out what they're doing. There are obviously a lot of issues in bringing your own device to work, and when something happens, and how do we deal with it, and privacy issues, and expectations of privacy, and things like that. And there are a lot of those types of issues that have to be worked through. And I think, to some extent, the things that have happened, like Annette referred to with you being able to use your own cell phone and getting your email and stuff on there. That I think is a fairly decent compromise to being able to bring your own computer, bring your own all those your technology to work and using what you're comfortable with, because I think it also creates a lot of other communication issues for us as an organization when we have I don't know where Bill George is at, but I can imagine
right there.
Bill would I've seen Bill pull his hair out. It's pretty ugly. And I think when you got to start reading about all these different devices and what it might do to your system and things like that, I think it creates a lot of challenges for us as an organization.
I wanted Mark to jump in on the digital driver's license program.
Yeah, what's the question?
The question says, how can we sign up for the digital driver's license pilot program? How can we sign up for the digital driver's license pilot program?
Yeah, okay, well,
Can you give an update on that?
I first, the update is that we started in August. We started with, and we've kept it confined entirely to people who are DOT employees, that have DOT-issued iPhones. They have to be, and we made sure that everybody was up to was it a 5C, I can't remember, 5-something. And we've gone through an enrollment process. We started with about 15, and I think we just added another 60 or so. Corey's out there and could give us the exact number. 62, thank you. I was going to say 63, but I thought that was a little high, so.
Could you work on that, Mark?
Yeah. And it's been in the formative stages. We've had a long-term vision that really talks about what a mobile driver's license is as an application that becomes a two-way customer relationship, not only for creating your license in real time when you need it with up-to-date real-time information according to what your record shows, but also becoming a portal for securely identifying yourself, securely accessing services, securely choosing what information you communicate to other folks. But right now, the focus is really on that first piece of how do we enroll somebody? Does it come up? Does it populate? We're working entirely out of a production, not production environment, but a test environment so that we can change information and test the things things we want to have happen. So what happens when the license comes up? What if I want to change my address? What if we want to change the name? Also, what if we want to take it away? Sort of all sorts of things go along with that, as well as sort of interacting with it with readers. There's a digital watermark that's embedded in the license so that you can use another iPhone that has an application that reads that to indicate whether it's authentic and verified. So we're going to start working through those things. We sort of picked people that fit that mold that said, okay, we're somebody that is a DOT employee that has a iPhone that's been issued by us. We use it in a regular workday. We don't have to get into the issues we just talked about with your own phone and saying, oh, now you've got this on here, and if you lose it, we got to wipe it, and those kinds of things. So that's how we have identified that. I think that we're going to go through this phase. We're going to go through other phases. We're going to want to continue to build experience with a larger group of folks. So if you're really interested and you feel like you're in that category, I would say just let Paul Steyer or Corey Lorenz know, and we'll continue to, because we had people who said when we first started down this path, I'd really like to be involved in this, and we took note of that because we knew not everybody would be comfortable sort of playing with that. So our hope is that we move from test environment and test data. I've actually got my real data on there, but it's still coming out of the test environment. But to actually moving into a production environment, we're going to need people that are willing to do that. So indicate your willingness, and we will keep that in mind.
But it does have to be a DOT phone, unless it's a phone that you're willing to have swiped if you lose it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was sort of getting to in sort of phase 2. If you start to say really your device with really your license, okay, maybe we would get to that point, but we have not formulated that phase yet.
We had a couple of questions, didn't we, Charlie, on autonomous vehicles? One had something to do with gravel roads, and the other, what was the second one? I think we can kind of address both those together.
Okay.
If you could read that the last one again.
The one about autonomous vehicles?
Yeah. If I don't know, Paul could answer because he's been to board in France.
Do driverless vehicles? Well, there was 2 questions on driverless vehicles.
Yeah, I can do these, right? So the questions are, is there a plan for how to manage automated vehicles with the thousands of miles of gravel we have? People live on gravel, so we can't get rid of it all. It may have to be paved. Do driverless vehicles cause the public to demand better standards for roadways? For example, properly set speed limits. And so on the 2 sides was the one with a driverless vehicle or fully automated vehicle, or whatever you want to call it. Part of my belief is, the technology eventually will bear this out, it's the mapping that is most important. The further refined we map the system to centimeter or half a centimeter level will allow vehicles a better performance no matter the type of pavement or system that they're on, because they won't have to search for a pavement marking. So I believe in the future that requires, obviously, maybe broadband network capability, high-end LTE capability, especially as you get into the rural areas. So I think that possibility remains. Does that mean that more roads are going to be paved potentially? I think there's sort of a combination there. On the vehicle standards, I would hope that the public demands higher standards on the roadway system no matter what type of vehicles are on there, would be my first. And part of that gets to speed limits. Because remember, at some point, if the vehicles themselves are in control and managing how they drive, then you can actually manage the speed limit in a different perspective, right? Because likely they're going to be managing themselves to that speed limit overall, and you can even vary the speed limit specifically in the vehicle as it moves, whether it be by condition, maybe it's a snowy or rainy or foggy condition, and the ability for the vehicle to be able to make that modification and slow that speed down really enhances a safety perspective on the system overall.
Getting back to the gravel road thing, it occurs to me too, we've already got agricultural equipment out in the fields, combines, we've got precision planters all running on GPS with, in some cases, very little oversight or control by the farmer. I don't think it's a big leap to think that the semis could eventually, not that far distant future, be automated and know that route into town, whether it's on a paved road or a gravel road or even a dirt path if it's, transversible. So I don't think that technology is that far away, and I think it really will lend itself very handily to the agricultural industry in the state, in the rural areas.
It actually is a reduction in resource, I think, for agricultural, and there already is. Most of the major companies have already utilized driverless or connected combines they've already tested it already in field. So I suspect you're going to see a lot of that. We just want to enable that further from the connectivity side, as John said, as you think about moving that product overall too.
Okay, Paul, how many more do you want to take? You want to get done early, right?
Yeah, I want to get done early, but I wanted to do this. I want Lee to hit
got
this.
One more category here.
Yeah, the staffing employment, number 1 and 5 are essentially the same question.
Want me to read those?
Yeah, you better read those.
So, question number 1, over 50% of my function can be done off-site, either through web applications, phone, or VPN. Will the DOT develop a more modern, flexible workplace environment where employees can work from a remote personal office and take advantage of off-hours time? For this flexibility, I would be willing to provide my own phone, data, services, and work location. Also, what are the political hurdles to make this type of environment happen? And then the 5th question was, meeting demands of a new and changing external environment, Paul's presentation, means a different DOT, plus some existing capability with some new flexibility. Are we ready to say yes to the new DOT in terms of increasing flexibility, 20, 30, 40-hour employees, telecommuting policy, focusing on the work getting done rather than where it gets done? So, yeah.
You bet. And this has actually been an issue that we've spent a lot of time with. And I think if we look at what we have available to us organizationally, we are actually doing a fair amount. And I think you'll continue to see more. Our flex time policy, I was telling Paul that I said we've seen a significant uptick in the number of people that have taken advantage of, not flex time, but working remotely, either from home or from an alternate location. We've had a fair amount of that's been done, and we recently redid the policy, try to make it a little more clear, a little more user-friendly to that end, and so I think that's one tool. It can be done, and I think it's a matter of working with the supervisors and the leadership within your areas to evaluate what you can and can't do, how you meet the organizational needs, but yet accommodate for employee needs as well. So I think that is a tool that has seen more use, and I think we'll continue to see more use. We obviously have a flex time policy that a lot of employees take advantage of, which allows them to be here. Some a lot of people work 4-10s, some work 4-9s and a 4. There are a number of different alternate schedules that I think that are available to people. Our educational assistance policy. We are, this was actually brought up in, if people wonder sometimes, do the employee engagement meetings that we do matter? They do, because it was about a month ago somebody raised the issue about our educational assistance policy, and can that $1,200 amount be raised? And Paul kind of looks at me like, well, can it be? And I'm like, I don't know, but we'll find out. Because I honestly didn't know. It'd been that way for 100 years. We went back, we looked at that policy, and actually it's now in the process of being changed. And you heard it here first. We'll be raising that. I'm not talking about it back to management team, and it will be raised to $3,500 a year, which will allow an individual to take a course like in the fall semester and one in the spring semester, and for those costs to be covered. So there are, a lot of those types of things are available, and I think those are the types of things that we need to continue to do. And as we look at the millennials coming into the workplace, there are different expectations, and Larry, sitting down in seat 17, does a phenomenal job with our recruitment program and with our intern program. I think we had 117 or so interns. I don't know how I got the 17 in there. I think Rory did that. Throughout the department in a wide variety of programs to help interject a lot of new ideas into the organization. So I think those are just ways that we need to continue to incorporate all of those things into the workplace and do more of that, and be open to other ideas that folks have, because we don't have all the answers, but I think we certainly, one of the things that's key for us as an organization is that we are flexible and try to work with employees and adapt to their needs and understand that the culture that existed a long time ago where it's about getting the organization's mission done, it's more than about getting the mission done for the organization. It's about getting the mission done and taking care of your family. And that's what we need to do organizationally.
I'm going to piggyback on that telecommuting conversation, because I get this question a lot. A lot of people say, well, I have someone in my office that wants to telecommute. What do we need to get them for equipment? What we try to do is just adjust the equipment that they're utilizing in the office. So maybe they no longer have a desktop. They just have a laptop with a docking station. So we don't have the expense of both the licenses and both of the pieces of equipment. So we try not to incur costs with the telecommuting, because obviously that is the cost that DOT has to take on. So we do look at trying to adjust the equipment that they're utilizing in the office that they could then take with them that's mobile. So that's a question I get a lot about telecommuting.
I touched on there was a question, or part of the question was on a reduced work week, or rather part-time, in the sense of 20 or 30-hour weeks. And we did have that discussion probably 2-3 months ago with management team. That was one of the issues where, the political reality right now in the time of reduction is sort of like every person on board. We need everything we can get out of everybody we have in terms of hours, and to have less than full-time employees, in a sense, is a political issue, and that we're trying to hang on to everybody we've got and utilize these positions as fully as we can. So it becomes a political challenge suddenly if we're asked, well, if you need all these people, then why are you having 20-hour employees or 30-hour employees, that kind of thing. So some things we want to consider, but it doesn't mean we can necessarily accommodate everything that comes along. So that's one of the cases where, unfortunately, we weren't able to go that direction.
Okay, Paul's giving me the signal we need to wrap this up. But in the spirit of a culture of fun and lightheartedness, there's one last question that we do need to take. What does Mark Lowe have against socks?
This is the first day. It's October 21st. It's my first day back wearing socks. I even have shoes that are new that come up slightly above my ankle. I wasn't taking any chances. And actually, these socks are more of a thigh high. So I went all the way in, baby.
All right. Well, let's give him a round of applause. Okay. We're going to have Paul come up and just give a few concluding remarks, and then I'll give you a few final instructions, and then we'll head out of here.
Thank you, everybody. All right, we are at the end of the day. Yes, I was hoping we would be done earlier, and it's something that we'll take a look at as we go forward. I can't say enough. One, I appreciate your time. I appreciate all of your attention throughout the day. It's very important. You are the guiding coalition from a leadership perspective in the department, and ultimately you all have a very important impact on setting the tone for an atmosphere of success. And I can't emphasize that enough, and the importance of it. And I know that you all recognize that And ultimately, doing that every single day will make the department, I think, the organization that we all want it to be, maybe that it currently is, and even improve upon that in the future. So that was one of the biggest pieces that I wanted to emphasize. One of the things I also wanted to at least mention was, and I saw it obviously here and I heard it when the group was up, was talking about resource issues. It often comes up about resources, whether it be that us as employees, whether that be monetary, equipment, all those types of issues. It is a conversation that we have often, and ultimately there's only one way to solve that, and that's together. I think working together to try to find ways and opportunities, because I think there are many ideas for us to maximize our resources, ultimately to make things better and improve our effectiveness and efficiency of what we do. But that is something that we do here often. Finally, I just want to say thank you. Juan, I want to thank Charlie. I want to thank the teams. I'd like to give them a round of applause. It takes a lot of effort to pull this together, and I do really view it as one of the most important meetings that we have during the year, and getting the opportunity to engage with your colleagues, to see that there are many leaders in our organization, and rely upon them, work together to help build the organization. I think the organization that we all want is most important. So with that, I'm going to stop. I'm going to turn it back over to Charlie. He's going to have a final couple of to-dos for you, but most importantly, be safe. Be safe as you travel home, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon.